You're listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. What up, mi gente? It's your boy Al Mega, and welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today we have an amazing guest. Let me tell you, we got the one and only. He's an artist, songwriter, creator. He be killing it all over the scene, and he's from my hometown too. What? I'm so excited to have the one, the only, Mr. Peter Galperin. Woo!
Hey, thank you, Al. That's a great intro.
Nah, brother, you rock. Thanks for coming through, bro. I appreciate you coming on to talk all this goodness about this amazing new project you got.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah,
no lots problem to talk about.
Yes, we do, because you're killing it and smashing. I see you all over the interwebs pushing the book, and I always love to see a creator always talking about their project and making sure that they push it because it's on you. You know what I mean? To make sure people are aware of this fantastic project. You know, and again, thanks for coming on here to talk about this. Folks, this is comics. This is music all into one. What? This is exactly what we want.
Crazy.
So, Pete, let's get started, man. Details, I always said, I know you're from New York, but you originally from New York, born and raised, or anyplace else?
No, I grew up in Seattle.
Seattle?
Seattle,
total
Washington.
Opposite coast.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I got to be near the water. So, you know, I grew up there, went to school there, graduated, came to New York, and been in New York for 40 years now.
So, okay. So, well, all right. So, what was that change like when you went from west to east at such a young age, I would suppose?
Like it's like going to a foreign country. I mean, the West Coast is it really was going from, you know, the suburbs of Seattle to Manhattan. Was completely different worlds. You know, from West Coast kind of laid back, outdoor culture, beach culture, ski culture, to New York, intense New York. And this was New York in the 80s when it was it was taxi driver, right?
When New York was really New York and not this thing that we have there now. But now it's kind of reverting almost to the old. So
it turned into a shopping mall for a while, and now, well, it still is. It's a shopping mall, but
it is. It, man, absolutely is. That. So talk about the origins of your geekdom, or your fandom rather. What was your first love ever?
Well, as a child, I did collect comic books. I collected Spider-Man and Superman and the Hulk and the Archies, and all those shows had all those comics had Saturday morning cartoon shows. Mm-hmm. There was a Saturday morning Spider-Man show. The Archies had a show. You know, it was all that. You know, I wasn't very discriminatory. I liked it all.
We ate it up.
Yeah, it was great stuff, and I collected. And a funny thing is, my mom, years later, after my mom passed away, I was clearing out her garage, and she had saved all my old comic books, boxes and boxes of them.
Are you telling me a mother actually saved the stuff?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I had, like my first pair of ice skates and my first baseball mitt. All that stuff is in the garage.
Oh, that must have been an emotional time, you going through that and then actually finding that she kept it.
Well, my God. I'd forgotten all about that stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for those comic books, I had created my own weird little cataloging system. I don't know why I did this, but I had a magic marker, several magic markers, and I think it was when I was in about 3rd or 4th grade. I was a student librarian, and so I was learning about the library, the Dewey Decimal System and all that. And I had a lot of comic books, so I wanted to organize them by some category, and I have no idea what categories those were. But when we pulled out the comics, in the upper right-hand corner of every comic is a big magic marker number letter of some sort.
I mean, for old books, now they don't really spank you too much, because if it's something key, they will still take it off your hands. markers or not.
Well, I gave them to one of my younger cousins. I said, "Here, you take them. See what you can, if you want to keep them or see what they're worth." He took them to a dealer, and the guy, it was like that roadshow antiques where
Yes.
they say, if you bring in the chair that would have been worth $15,000, except you painted it pink 10 years ago. Anything, right? So it was that kind of deal for my cousin. He said, so he actually took off all the covers and he framed them in his basement rec room. So,
Well,
at least they're on display.
I hope they weren't keys, because I will catch a heart attack if I see just the cover to a key.
Yeah,
I'm a geek that way. No.
Well, they would have been from 66 through 69, something like
I
that.
don't even, you know what? I'm gonna stay quiet because
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you had some crazy gems there, and I don't. I'm pretty sure. All right. So okay. So were you alone in this nerddom, geekdom of yours as you were growing up?
Some of my friends collected books too. I mean, we had a neighborhood store. It was, I don't know what the name of it was. It was called the Little Store. I mean, it wasn't just a comic book store. They sold candy and they sold detergent. They sold everything, and they had racks, those racks that you'd spin around of comic books.
Love it.
And so if I had enough money left over from lunch on my way home, and all I needed probably was 25 cents to buy a comic in those days.
All right.
I'd pick one up at the little store.
Be honest, Peter. How many times did you not eat lunch because you needed the next issue?
Well, no, a growing boy eats lunch, school,
you never sacrifice lunch.
School lunches aren't that big, sometimes you eat, but they were only, probably a lunch in those days was $1. So if I just got the burger and no fries, maybe I'd
You didn't want the suicide fries? You would take the murder burger over that?
Yeah, well, if I had a comic book I wanted on the way home, yeah, I'd make that sacrifice.
There you go, man. There you go. Pete is a man of the people. You know what I mean? Sacrificing for his geekdom. All right, bro. So talk about then getting creative. When did that spark happen in your life?
Well, I grew up in a musical family. My parents were classical musicians.
Oh,
so
okay.
I always had that ever since I was, as long as I can remember. That's what we did as a family. We did classical music. And then of course, as I became a teenager and I wanted to do rock and roll. And so that caused all sorts of friction between the classical parents and myself. And so I always drew also. I did art a lot. I did a lot of drawings. Not that I'm an illustrator today, but I have worked as a graphic designer for many, many years. So,
all right.
So it's kind of, I always did music and art together. And that's what I studied in college. And when I came to New York, I worked as a graphic designer and also had bands that I played in, and we were playing CBGBs and the various clubs around town.
Oh my God, he says CBGBs. I never ever got to go before it closed.
Yeah, it's a shoe store now, I think, or something like that.
A shoe store?
Yeah, man? Yeah, with condos up above.
Oh my God, what
Very
a disgrace!
Very sad. Very sad.
That should have been a historical mark that should have never been touched in NY.
Somebody bought all the facade of CBGBs and moved it. It's at Newark Airport.
No, the facade?
It's a gift shop at Newark Airport. You can go there and buy Blondie t-shirts and Ramones t-shirts and stuff like that. Yeah, it's very...
I gotta ask you though. So you obviously got to go. What was that experience like in such a world famous spot?
Well, I mean, it was a dump. It was a total dive. I mean, the bathrooms were downright scary. It's like, oh my God, no, don't go in there. But it had a great sound system and a great pool table. They had a really good pool table that you could play cheaply. And it was just a great place to hang out, and you'd run into everybody you knew there on a Friday or Saturday night. So
nice. So your first dive into creativity was through music?
Yeah. I was a musician first. Then I studied graphic design and worked as a designer in the advertising business for many years.
Advertising. So here you are, this geek, this musician, your family, and all. You get into advertising.
Well, I was doing logos and posters and brochures and then websites. It was one of the few ways a creative person, artistically creative person could make a living. So that's what I did, and I always did music kind of on the side, playing in various bands, like I was saying, and writing music. And I wrote music for commercials and a couple television shows and
You did.
dance performances.
How did you get into that though? Into that realm where your stuff was now being produced, if you will.
Well, I was an art director, and if I had a project that I knew needed a soundtrack to it, I would hire myself to do the music. That was the first gigs. The first paid music gigs I got were projects that I was art directing, like an industrial film for a trade show. And I'd say to the client, well, we need 5 minutes of music to go along with this, and we can commission some music from this band I know. And then I might not actually mention that I was in the band.
Hey, bro, you gotta do what you gotta do. Hey, you need music? Hey, you know what? I can make you some good music.
I know a guy who knows a guy. It's New York, right?
Yeah, that's the hustle, though. Exactly. Yeah. Say yes and figure it out.
Right. So that's how I first got music gigs, and then I did some soundtracks for dance performances, at downtown dance performances, and so and then at one point I was writing songs, and I wrote some songs about a certain person, a guy named Robert Moses. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes, of course.
The urban planner, right? So I was reading.
What was it? The Van Wyck, was it?
Oh, he almost every parkway in New York.
But that damn parkway, yo. I had a friend that had an IROC back in the day, and he decided to do like 100 on that particular. And I thought I was going to die. I'm like, please stop, yo. The curves. I'm like, this is not meant to be driven at high speed, bro.
well, you know why his roads, and this will be quick, his roads curved around like that is because he bought up different chunks of property to kind of wind his roads through. And some people wouldn't sell to him. So he'd have to curve the road way around Farmer Joe's, property to get to the other side.
Gee, thanks, Farmer Joe.
Anyway, so I was writing, for some reason, I wrote a couple songs about him, and I said, I said to my wife, what am I going to do with these songs about Robert Moses? She said, well, why don't you write a musical? So I ended up writing a musical. It was called Bulldozer. It ran for a couple months off Broadway.
Okay. Nice. Wait. So you wrote the musical and you landed it off Broadway? What was that journey like for you to pitch and land?
I was lucky. I met some people. I met a good management company that took me under their wing and brought in a director and a casting person. And we had a guy named Konstantin Maroulis was our star. He was a winner from American Idol.
I remember Konstantin.
Yeah. Right. So he played Robert Moses with a wig. He had a short hair wig. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. So I did that. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. And at that time I started writing this story, this climate change story. I was writing songs about climate change. Okay. And it took me, about 5 years to get this story and the songs completed. I have a writing partner, Greg Ostrin, who worked on the script with me.
Shout out, Greg.
Yeah, and he's in LA, and so I'd done that first musical with Bulldozer, and that had about 25 songs in it. And so I wrote the second one. It has about 20. I think it has 23 songs in it. And then COVID hit.
Of course.
Just as we were starting to do table readings to do a live version of another off-Broadway show.
So was it this one that you were going to do?
Yeah, we were going to do it. I mean, we literally started doing table readings in January of 2020.
Oh, God.
And then everything shut down. And so I had this script and demos of the songs sitting in my computer. And I thought, how can I, keep this project alive? Because it was just impossible. It was going to be impossible to do an off-Broadway 10-person cast live band show. That just wasn't going to happen. And so I came up with the idea, well, maybe a graphic novel would be a good approach. But I wanted to incorporate the music with it. I didn't just want it to be the reading experience. I wanted it to be the listening experience too. So then we came up with this idea of embedding QR codes into the print. Yeah, like you can see.
Wait a minute, folks, check this out. What a great idea. So right there, all they do is scan that baby and they're listening to some music.
It takes you right to the website where the 6 songs in volume 1 are posted as MP3s, and you can listen to them for free there while you're reading. So it's a real immersive experience now.
Oh, I am digging the crap out of this. So before I start showing off the wonderful art on this book, because folks, wait till you see this gorgeous looking book. Talk about setting it up and the learning curve behind that, because now you're saying, okay, I wanted to do a show. Now I have to learn how to make a comic book. What was that learning curve like?
Well, fortunately, as an art director, working as an art director, I've art directed lots of illustrators and photographers and videographers and whatever my projects needed. I'd actually worked with a few comic book illustrators over the years, and we'd done small comic book, semi-comic books for corporations, like for a presentation or for a new product or a service. And because it gets a lot of attention. The corporations that we did these comic books for loved it. It was the most fun piece of corporate literature they'd ever done, right?
It's corporate. I mean, you know what I mean? It's crap. Do they do anything fun? They need people like you to bring life.
Well, that's yeah, right. That's what we try to do. So I had done that before, and so I thought, well, I can storyboard it. I can sketch it out to a degree, and I know this. I know the script, and I know where the songs go, and I know where the emotional highlights are, and where we want to have space, and where we can have dialogue and things like that. So we searched around. We found Patrick Barrett, a terrific illustrator, comic illustrator out in LA, and he also does a lot of storyboarding for movies and television pilots. So he really worked with us on the scene, on who's in this scene, and thinking of it like almost from a camera angle point of view, talking to someone, looking at their face here, looking at the response over here, seeing a little bit of the environment, the room that they're in, or the backdrop. So he brought the characters to life. He dressed everybody for us. These are people 100 years from now who are basically just have very little. They're just trying to survive. And so their outfits, their clothing, their haircuts, what they look like is very important to defining the environment that they're in. Like, their clothing is all mismatched because it's all stuff they've found, abandoned, or that's washed up, on the shoreline, or it's kind of like a Gilligan's Island, but in the future,
So you're talking about this is a musical, a post-apocalyptic musical?
Yeah. Well, it's 100 years in the future, and sea levels have risen 100 feet.
Oh, wow.
So most of Manhattan is flooded. There are some high points in the island. Brooklyn Heights is a high point. Washington Heights is another high point where there are little pockets of dry land, and that's where our story takes place, up in Washington Heights, right by the George Washington Bridge. That's the highest point in Manhattan.
Oh, really? Literally, though? Okay.
Literally, yeah. I found an app, an altitude app that I had in my phone, and I would wander around the city and find and use the app to figure out how many feet above sea level we were.
What a geek! My God! Like, hold on. So what are you doing? I'm measuring altitude. Excuse me.
You want to stop dinner conversation? Pull out your altitude app and say, "I wonder what the altitude here is." Oh, we're only 40 feet above sea level. Uh-oh. Let's get the check. We got to go.
Yes, please. A slight wind is going to cause a flood. I love it. And look at, folks, this is the cover to this beautiful book. Who did this awesome cover right here?
This was done by Patrick Barrett. He did this. DC Alonso is our colorist. He's a Spanish artist. So we had a guy in LA and a guy in Spain and me in the middle in New York, kind of coordinating all of this. So we were
Wow.
circumnavigating the globe with this project.
So how fun is that to work, remotely in such a way with people that are not even standing next to you?
It's very efficient, because I send a sketch to Patrick. He draws up that page. I take a look at it. We we go back and forth with PDFs, make a few adjustments. We send it off to Alonso in Spain, and it's nighttime. He's sleeping while we're working, and then when we get up in the morning, there's color waiting for us to look at. So we're like working around the clock.
It's a beautiful cycle, right? Hey, I'm sending these blank pages. You wake up and like, oh my God, they're done.
Yeah. That's how I would wake. I would open my computer at 8 or 9 in the morning, and he's 7 or 8 hours later than me. It's the end of it's late afternoon for him. But he's been working on it all day long. I get it first thing in the morning. I look at it, make a few comments like, oh, can we get more pink in her hair? And I send it to him. And by the end of the day, he's made the change. So
nice.
Very effective, very cost effective and time effective.
And over here, we meet the cast.
Yes, this is the cast. There are 10 people in the show, in the story. And this is a poster. The idea here, you see the fish swimming by here. This is a poster in the subway in New York. You know how there's always the show posters?
Yeah, on the west side, folks. All right, this is probably the AE or C train.
Yeah, well, you see, 7th and 8th Avenue there. So yeah, it's over on the west side. It might be the A, B, C, or D, or the E. But it's underwater. It's flooded. You can see the poster is underwater, and the fish are swimming past it. So,
wow, the fact that fish can survive in the New York subway. I mean, once that water's in there, you're gonna lift up that old dirt that's been there for hundreds of years.
Yeah. Well, the subway's flooded during Hurricane Sandy. They were completely flooded in some spots, and that's what gave us the idea to do this for our cast page to have it underwater.
Thank you for bringing us New Yorkers back to those days, because that wasn't fun when that happened. Holy smokes! This is downtown.
Yeah.
Panel? Oh,
yeah. So downtown, you can see there is kind of flooded. The streets are all filled in. The story is being introduced by a character whose name is Sky, and she is, or he is, we're not sure. She's a trans. They are a transgender indigenous person. There's actually the Native Americans had a word for it. It was a two-spirit. They called these people two spirits. They were male and female, and they actually existed in their society.
Yeah.
So we thought, because of our subtitle for Volume 1 is Last of the Mannahattas, and that was the name of Manhattan, also the name of the Indian tribe that lived in Manhattan. We thought it'd be appropriate to have an indigenous person be kind of our narrator.
Hopefully they're not giving away an island for beads though in the future.
Well, yeah, I love that story. The fact that okay, now so New York is all about real estate, right?
Yeah.
All the richest people in New York are in the real estate business. So that story about the Lenni Lenape Indians trading Manhattan for $24 worth of beads and trinkets and mirrors and stuff. I think, was that with Peter Stuyvesant?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that was the original real estate deal in New York, and a good real estate deal. The best real estate deals are when both parties go away thinking they screwed the other guy, right? So that
I know, because Native Americans then buy land, but land is free. What do you mean buy land? Yeah, or sure, buy it, whatever.
They said, hey, look, they gave us all this stuff. We don't even own this place.
Crazy, right? Yeah, the idea of, okay, now we're going to own the land.
Right.
And I wish that they knew that back then. How much different would the world have been? Right?
Yeah, what is it about Western European civilization that wants to I mean, I'm we're all descended from it, right? But what is it about that civilization that just wants to dominate the landscape and dominate other people.
Oh yeah, don't you tell me about all that stuff. That I mean, our history is so messed up. The human history, it just as a whole. All about humans treating other humans, like low lives. Come on, folks, we could do so much better in the world. It is why we have people like Peter creating fun stuff for us to get entertained with, and
Yes.
scare the shit out of us.
And so there's a little history here of the glaciers are melting, the seas rising, the cities flooding. It goes kind of chronologically from 2030 up to 2100.
You are messing with me. What's up with those fires?
So another big part of climate change is not just sea levels rising, but the devastation of the forests all around the world. So we wanted to acknowledge that at the beginning here, and that's one of the reasons the world's heating up, and one of the reasons the glaciers are melting. It's all a cycle. It's all connected. And then the big thing that's going to happen, I think, many people think this, many experts, is climate forced migration.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be whole areas and it's already happening. I mean, it's happening in Africa. That's the migrants going into Europe. It's happening in Latin America. The migrants trying to come up through Mexico. There's going to be parts of the world that people live in today that in 50 years are probably uninhabitable. So people, and is that going to be a managed retreat, as they like to call it? Right now the U.S. government is doing things like moving indigenous people off of land in the Mississippi Delta, in the in Louisiana. Yeah, their islands there are sinking, they're flooding, so they're slowly moving entire villages back from the coast. But they can do that with 100 people or 500 people or 1,000 people. How do they do that with a city? Is there just going to be mass? Are people just going to say, I can't live here anymore? What about Miami Beach is going to be underwater definitely underwater in the next 50 years.
No more South Beach. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, there'll just be more of it.
A whole lot more.
We
don't want that, but yeah. Well, and thank you for even bringing this topic into the comics with music and all, and a bit of history. Because again, man, we hope this is not where it leads, but the potential is definitely there.
Yeah, there's scary stuff out there. So then this is what our little island here. You can see the George Washington Bridge there, kind of dilapidated and rusting, and the ropes, the cables are all snapped, so it's not really usable. So our story takes place in some buildings right in there, that these people have kind of managed to get to, and they've been there for 10 years. And there's a small group of them, about eight people, and it's on the eve of a superstorm. A superstorm is coming in, like a huge hurricane. The wind is picked up. The whitecaps are blowing on the Hudson, and so they are going to have to decide whether they stay here or do they attempt to leave. And that's really what the story is about.
Gotcha. And through music. So talk about music. So here I see the barcode. So is this a different song than what's on the cover? So is there be a chapter where I get to
the barcode the barcodes are all the same. It takes you to the website where all 6 songs are. We didn't want
so it doesn't matter. Okay.
We didn't want to have a different barcode for it. So once you've barcoded in to the site, you don't have to do it again. But we put a barcode on every song just to remind people.
Understood. So when I'm reading and listening, what's the best method for me to do so?
Well, I think when you come to this page and you see the barcode, go, click on it, listen to the song and read along. Most of the lyrics are in the comic. Not all the lyrics are in the comic. Okay. We for real estate, for space saving reasons, sometimes we left out a verse, or in songs there's a lot of repetition. Like especially in choruses, you might say the same phrase multiple times. Well, we felt you didn't need to read it multiple times. You would get the idea. So
let the song do it.
Yeah. So it's just, take a moment, listen to the song, look at the, the lyrics. The song will end maybe in a page or two, and then the dialogue will begin again, and you can continue on with the story.
I'm really digging this page though, because it's just the clouds, the city, the music notes,
the birds, the little birds. There's always birds. There's always going to be birds,
and the placement of the lettering too. I mean, it doesn't disturb the art, nothing. It's gorgeous, yo. This is a great page, man.
Patrick did the lettering too, our illustrator.
Really?
So and I think that was a real benefit, because he could then, he had seen my thumbnail sketches, so he knew that this language needed to appear somewhere on the page, so he could kind of anticipate with his drawing where there was going to be space to put the balloons.
Beautiful, folks. I mean, look at that page and that color. My gosh, that's taking the book, because we can't tease the whole thing, folks. All right. All right, it's too good. You got to go to the shop and make it rain. So what's the length of the story? Is this the one-shot graphic novel, or are we going to split this up? Who's the publisher? Talk to me.
Well, it's self-published right now. We'd love to find a publisher who could, work with us on distribution and stuff. But, we've got it selling at CWS Bookstore. I don't know if you know Comic Wellspring.
Yes.
Yep. We've got a page up there. You can buy a print version for $11.99 or a digital version for $5.99.
What? And how many pages we get?
It is 36 pages. This is volume 1. This is just volume 1. It's going to be 4 volumes.
Oh, damn!
Eventually, And,
all right. So where we at with you? Where you at then? Where are you at? So right now we have volume 1 is out. Where are you story wise in your
the whole story? The whole story is written.
It's done. Okay. So where we at with the start?
The story is written. The songs have been demoed. I have demos of all the songs. I need to go back in the studio with my band. We have a 4-piece band that recorded all this stuff with me. Nice. And then we'll bring the singers back in, and they're all Broadway people.
What? But we're getting some quality here. What?
Oh yeah. The singers are great. Emily Batista is our young ingenue, so to speak, in the show. She's been in Miss Saigon. Jeremy Kushner is our kind of father figure, mayor of the town. He's been in Head Over Heels and just a bunch of shows. Our Doug Eskew, who sings the part of Ezra, who is our old elder, our old African-American elder, and he keeps the history for these people. He has a scrapbook that he references stuff, and he starts quoting Walt Whitman and things like that. Doug was actually old Deuteronomy in Cats years ago. So
really?
Yeah. So we've got some great voice. We tried to cast everybody ethnically correct. So
Thank you.
So if we show like our priest is Asian, we found an Asian actor to be our priest. We did not want to give that part to a white guy, which we easily could have done, right? Yeah. So the diversity, we've got Latinos, we've got African Americans, we've got Asians.
I really think though that's because you are a New Yorker and you live in that, so it's the norm.
Well, and another thought that was behind the development of this is that the future of society is going to be a much more of a melting pot than it's been in the past. Caucasian is shrinking, and Latin, African American, Asian is growing. So there was an article done, I think it was in National Geographic, that talked about the browning of America. And the browning of America, and I'm not talking about chicken. It showed faces every 10 years. The average face, a computerized face, that showed the makeup of the average face of an American every 10 years going forward for 100 years. And it showed how the features were combining, to where people no longer really you don't look Asian or Latino or white. You're a mixture of that,
I love it. Puerto Ricans have been going through that all our generations. Because let me tell you, I've hung out with guys whiter than you. And then and they would say it in Spanish, like, why you hanging out with this white boy? And he come out, I'm more Puerto Rican than you, bro. What are you talking about? And like, oh shit, they would get shocked.
Oh yeah, but
I have come in so many flavors, they ain't funny.
I have Dominican friends who say, we have white people in our family.
Yeah.
I go, wow, that's great.
So let me just give you a taste of Santo Domingo. Oye, loco, que la vaina. Shout out to Santo Domingo. I have family that are Dominican as well. So it's like, yeah, we all combine. It's funny.
Yeah. So that was an idea here in the casting of this show. We did not want it to be. It couldn't be, because in the future, my show Bulldozer was all white people, because in 1930, New York
was there.
was mainly white people, right?
Yeah, you're right.
At least the people in, positions of power or notoriety.
100%. You can't deny the past, folks. The truth.
So that was cast with white people. Now going, this show 100 years from now, it just had to reflect what the racial mix is going to be.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for doing that. Because again, I don't think a lot of people, at least middle America, have exposure like that to different cultures and people. So it's nice. Again, for us, it's normal. West Coast, East Coast, because of the coast, I think is why, we are accustomed to seeing so much diversity. So it's something that's natural for us. But when you get into the middle of the country, it's like, what do you mean? Nope. Everybody, me, I'm a Mexican. There's no such thing as a Puerto Rican. I went to a concert once, a Slipknot concert once. And someone asked me, where are you from? I said, Puerto Rico. And this person was from Russia and asked me, where is that? And I was like, oh, damn. My boy just looked at me. He goes, I'll just walk away.
Well, and you probably couldn't you probably couldn't name a state in Russia either.
No, I'm in Moscow. That's about it.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, we're ignorant to stuff that's on the other side of the world. Even when I first moved to New York, people would say, "Where are you from? You sound you don't sound like you're from here." And I'd say, "Well, I'm from Seattle." And they kind of draw a blank and they go, "That's near Canada, right?"
Kind of, yeah, but no, we're in the States.
Because Microsoft hadn't happened and Amazon hadn't happened yet, so they'd say, that's by Canada. It snows there a lot. No, it doesn't snow. It rains.
I would love to have then your accent mixed with mine, and then the Bostonian accent, and for each one of us to tell each other that our accents are horrible. I love it.
There's a great book that's written about all the East Coast dialects, like a Boston accent, a Baltimore accent, a Jersey accent, and how originally all of those accents can be traced to different seaports in England.
Really?
Yeah, because say from Liverpool, most of the ships went to Baltimore, or from Manchester, most of the ships went to Boston. So they've done linguistic studies that show how those accents are tied together. And actually a Southern accent, and a Boston accent are just variations of an English accent, of a British accent. Yeah.
Don't tell these Massachusetts folks that they're not there from England, because they're not going to be acting all bougie and drinking tea with their pinkies up. Don't do that. Or rather their beer with their pinky up.
No, you're never going to get them out of Dunkin'.
For real. I mean, like Dunkins are to Massachusetts, like bodegas are to New York on every corner.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah.
I'm digging it. So we have 4 volumes planned for this wonderful book, Higher Ground, the musical. Volume 1 out now, available, you said, at CWS. And the website, I'm sure people can buy it, right?
Yeah, it's all, well, it connects to CWS.
Okay, great.
From the website.
Beautiful. Yeah. So once this baby is, out there, is doing this thing, when are we getting volume 2? What's the plan?
Well, I would like to think that every 6 months we could have a new volume out. It's probably going to be more like a year, because what we're doing next for volume 1 is we're going to do an audible recording.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're gonna record the dialogue with our actors, add some sound effects, put the songs in, and it'll become a 35-minute long radio play.
Bro, that's awesome.
Because that's a very kind of cost-effective thing to do at this point. Yes. To create the next 2 volume or the next 3 volumes. We got to do all the artwork, we got to record all the songs, we got to do the singing. That's a big task. But we could record the audio for an audible radio podcast. Basically, we could do that fairly cost effectively. So I think that's what we're going to try to do next.
I'm digging it. Have they done stuff like that before, like with a musical on Audible? I don't recall that.
I think so. Maybe not. I know they've done a few with narration and music, like one actor. I don't think they've done a lot with an ensemble.
Yes, make it happen, kiddo. You're making it happen. And folks, look, that way you get a teaser of the site. I wanted to show that before we go. I mean,
there are all the songs. There they are.
It goes a taste of the music right here. You can the purchasing link right there. So that's the first thing you're gonna hit, folks. When you visit this website, you go here. You pull out your wallet. Yes, it's $4.20. So if you have money for weed, then guess what? Put a couple of bucks aside, get your smoke, and then you're gonna go buy this, read it, and listen to the music. You're gonna be immersed in a world like no other.
And they ship anywhere in the world.
And there we go. I mean, look at this wonderful page. You got videos here with the official lyric video. Let me show you a little piece, just a little piece. Don't ding me, manager. I think I didn't add the audio. Let me do this right, sir. Hold on. But yeah, this is what it is. This is some awesome stuff because this is what amazing independent creators do. They think outside the box and they try to bring you a different and awesome experience, right?
I want to do a board game of it too.
Oh, what? Your higher ground is going. Is it definitely hitting the higher ground, huh? Wait, check this out. Give me a little sample. I'll play about 2 seconds. Check this out.
Life goes on and on as it always does. Forever adapting and growing stronger because life goes on and on against all the odds we survive.
I'm digging the song.
To carry on.
I am digging this song. Yo, dude, that's that little sample there. We must carry on. You got me thinking. I was about to start diving into a whole train of thought over here as I was listening. I was like, wait a minute. Let me stop it now before this show goes on much longer than it should.
That was our young girl Emily Batista singing there a cappella.
Wow. Wow.
And then that opening song is kind of an introduction to everybody. So everybody in the show sings a few different lines here and there.
So this is perfect for that scene where we see the fish in the subway with the poster, right? And the young lady explaining. Great, gotcha. Oof.
And so we just took the artwork from the comic book and did some movement with it. Kind of digitized it a little
Motion
bit.
comic.
And repurposed it. Very inexpensively to do.
How much fun did you have doing that? Now, seeing your project come to life like this now, because as a comic book nerd now, it's like you're playing with art and music, and you're a nerd of both.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's all because of technology that we're able to do that. I mean, that video I edited that in iMovie.
Really?
Yeah. I do all my song demos in GarageBand, and then I take that into the studio with other musicians.
Peter, man, you are of my generation. Could you imagine if we had this when we were young bucks? Right? Yo, we'd be kings of the world.
I started as a kid. I started off with a little cassette or a tape machine that had little tapes that were like this big.
Oh, I still have one of those. I have a mini one with the mini tape, and I still have one of the first Panasonic handheld recorders.
Yeah.
And reporters would use.
Right, right.
I have it, and it's in working condition in the box, in the styrofoam.
Oh my God. Yeah. We thought that was high tech,
Right?
and
Oh,
now, and then things like TIAC, 4 tracks came in, and then 8 tracks came in, and then now there's a million tracks,
yeah.
so there's no limitations.
And these kids complain. I mean, we used to walk around with these folks.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh
And
yeah.
and then we used to have to open it up and pull out a cassette tape.
Is that a mini? Is that a mini tape?
No,
there?
this
That's
is
a
the
regular.
old school
Okay.
TDK tape. This is the old school Sony.
Yeah, yeah.
And it still works, mind you.
And you could use that there, and you could pop it into the cassette player in your car.
Yep.
Or
at home, and
and it would only jam every other time you used it.
You ain't lying. Although,
you take a pencil and you twist.
listen, we need to do those experiments. Peter, because we're of that age, and I've seen experiments done where they put a rotary phone in front of these millennial kids and ask them to dial. They never pick up the handle, and they're like pressing the rotary, and then they figure out to move it, but they never pick up the handle first.
Yeah.
They're like, "Is that how you do it?" Like, no. No.
Nobody knows how to listen. You have to wait for the dial tone, kids.
Yes, how about, and then mommy telling you, "Get off the phone."
Well, when I was a kid, we had a party line with several other families, our neighbors.
Oh no, you did.
We all shared the line, and the kids next door, young teenage girls, they were always on the phone. And my dad, he would just pick up the phone. He'd say, "Get off the phone. I need to use it."
That's how it was. You get embarrassed because come on, as guys, we're here trying to mac to the girls back then. Hey, baby, what up? And then all of a sudden, mommy comes on. Hey, I got to use the phone. Oh shit!
Yeah.
I'm messing up my game, son.
Or
Thank God for cell phones.
Somebody would pick up the phone in the other room. That were connected. And they'd be listening to you. Right?
Yeah, and laughing at you.
Yeah, you'd hear the little click. Is someone on the line?
Who's breathing?
Now we got these things that are just amazing.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely amazing.
I see. They're making movies with these things nowadays, Peter. I mean, again, what if we had these? Although I kind of good we didn't have these when we were kids, because we probably would have been arrested tenfold.
Well, yeah, we would have been.
The stuff that we did back then was not something.
It was good. It built our character by having to do everything the hard way.
Yes, being left on your own at 7 years old, cooking ham sandwiches and coming back home only when the street lights came on. Good old days, folks.
Yeah. Where you been? Nobody ever even asked where you were. Like, just be home for dinner.
Right?
Right?
I love it, Peter. What happened? What happened? Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well.
It's all right. We're here, though. And if these kids enjoy all this stuff, guess what, kids? We're going to bring you back, tone it down for you to pick up a book, and you could use your device at the same time, because you're going to pick it up. You could pick up your little phone, scan that barcode, put it down, read and listen to music. What? Combination of old school and new school, kiddies.
Yeah, buy an album.
Yeah, what? Wax is back, so kids, come on now. You got to get hooked up to something this amazing. The Higher Ground has awesome messaging, 4 volumes, music by an amazing creator like Peter. What? And he built an awesome, diverse team. Come on. What more can we ask for? This is why I love comics and the business of comics. When we find people like you that definitely have an eye on the future, and it's about creating a great product and working with everyone. Thank you, Peter. Just as a fan to a creator, thank you so much for being bold and brave enough to take that, that lane and put your product out there fearlessly for all of us to enjoy.
Well, thank you so much, Al. You have a great show here, and I really enjoyed talking with you.
Nah, Peter, you're right. Now, folks, I've been showing this baby off throughout the show. If you want to support Peter, not if you want to, you got to support. I mean, you're a fellow New Yorker. What? Bringing the game to the top level here. Follow him, highgroundthemusical.com. And of course, he's all over the socials. So if you have Facebook and Instagram, you go to Higher Ground the Musical. And if you have Twitter, and whoever you are on Twitter that has the real name, we got to talk, man. Come on.
Yeah.
I know you ain't using it. You got HG the Musical, the #1. All right. So that's on Twitter. The links are below. So, feel free to click away, support, follow, give them a shout out, make it happen, folks. This is the business of comics where we have future legends like Peter, stepping it up now. This is going to be the norm later on. I'm going to get spoiled, and every comic I read must have music. Marvel and DC is not going to do that, all right? So thank you again, Peter. Everybody, thank you for tuning in again. Please show the love and support independent comic books and creators like Peter. He's all over the webs. He's going to be in a whole bunch of shows. I see him. He pimping it. And this is what real creators do when they believe in their product. They go everywhere and just tell you, this is what you need to check out. And I've had the honor of taking this look with the man himself. So thank you for real on this awesome. I can't wait to smell the ink and listen to the tunes.
Yes. Thank you so much, Al.
No, thank you, Peter. Everybody, you know what it is. Follow comiccrusaders.com, undercovercapes.com. If you love this channel, please follow, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. All right? Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Much love. Al Mega is out.
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.